DME documentation errors that trigger denials, and how to fix every one. This is educational content based on publicly available CMS data. It is not legal, medical, or billing advice. Always consult your compliance team for guidance specific to your practice. According to the CMS Comprehensive Error Rate Testing Program, the CERT program, documentation errors are the #1 cause of improper payments in DME. Not coding mistakes, not eligibility issues. Documentation. In the most recent CERT report, the improper payment rate for DME was over 30%, and the majority of those errors were insufficient documentation, meaning the item may have been medically necessary, but the paperwork didn't prove it. This video walks through every major documentation error that triggers DME denials, with the exact fix for each one. If you build DME, this is the video you'll want to bookmark. Section 1. Face-to-face encounter documentation. The face-to-face requirement is where more DME claims die than almost anywhere else. CMS requires that certain DME items, including power mobility devices, CPAP machines, and hospital beds, have a documented face-to-face encounter between the patient and the ordering physician or qualified practitioner. The encounter must occur no earlier than 6 months before the order date. It must document the patient's specific medical condition, their functional limitations, and why the requested item is needed. A note that says, "Patient needs wheelchair," is not sufficient. The note must describe what the patient cannot do. Can they ambulate? How far? With what assistance? And why a lesser intervention won't work. The most common error, the face-to-face note exists, but it doesn't contain enough clinical detail. The Office of Inspector General found that over 40% of power wheelchair claims with face-to-face documentation still lacked sufficient detail about the patient's mobility limitations. The fix: create a face-to-face template for each product category that includes every required element. Provide these templates to the referring physicians. When the note comes back, check it against the template before you accept the order. If any field is missing, send it back immediately. Do not submit the claim until the note is complete. Section 2. Detailed written order versus standard written order. There are 2 types of DME orders, and using the wrong one is a guaranteed denial. A standard written order is required before you deliver any DME item. It must include the patient's name, the item description or HCPCS code, the physician's signature, and the date. A detailed written order, sometimes called a DWO, is required for certain items before you submit the claim. The DWO must include everything in the standard order plus specific details about the item, the exact product, accessories, quantities, frequency of use, and the duration of need. Items that require a DWO include power wheelchairs, seat elevation systems, custom orthotics, and certain respiratory equipment. The critical distinction: you can deliver equipment with a standard written order, but you cannot bill for DWO-required items until the DWO is on file. Submitting a claim for a power wheelchair with only a standard order will result in a denial. The fix: maintain a list of every HCPCS code that requires a DWO. When processing an order, check the code against that list. If a DWO is required, do not submit the claim until you have the fully completed detailed written order with all required specifications. Section 3. Physician signature requirements. Signature errors account for a significant portion of documentation denials, and CMS has strict rules about who can sign and when. The ordering physician must personally sign the order. Stamped signatures are not accepted. Electronic signatures are accepted only if they comply with the e-Sign Act and include the physician's name, credentials, date, and time. The signature must be legible or accompanied by a printed name. If an auditor cannot identify who signed the order, the claim is denied. For Medicare, the order must be signed before the claim is submitted, not before delivery, before billing. CMS has denied claims where the order was signed after the date of service, but before claim submission, because the DMEPOS supplier standards require a signed order at the time of delivery for standard written orders. Power of attorney signatures and signatures by non-physician office staff are not valid for DME orders. Nurse practitioners and physician assistants can sign orders only for items within their scope of practice and only if they have an established treatment relationship with the patient. The fix: when you receive a signed order, verify 3 things immediately. First, is the signature from the ordering physician or a qualified non-physician practitioner. Second, is the signature dated on or before the date of delivery. Third, is the signature legible or accompanied by a printed name and credentials. Reject any order that fails any of these checks. Section 4. Medical necessity documentation. The CERT program consistently identifies insufficient medical necessity documentation as the single largest category of DME claim errors. This isn't about whether the patient needs the item. It's about whether the clinical record proves they need it. Sufficient medical necessity documentation includes a diagnosis that matches the local coverage determination for the HCPCS code, clinical notes describing the patient's condition and functional limitations, evidence that lesser interventions have been tried or considered, the expected benefit of the DME item for this specific patient, and for oxygen claims. Qualifying arterial blood gas or pulse oximetry results with specific numeric values and test dates. The OIG has reported that suppliers frequently submit claims where the physician's notes contain a diagnosis code, but no narrative explaining the clinical rationale. A prescription that says CPAP for obstructive sleep apnea, without the sleep study results, the apnea-hypopnea index score, and documentation of CPAP compliance, is incomplete. The fix: build a medical necessity checklist for each product category based on the applicable local coverage determination. Before submitting any claim, verify that every required clinical element is present in the patient's file. If the LCD requires specific test results, specific numeric values, or specific timeframes, verify each one individually. Section 5. Proof of delivery errors. You can have a perfect order, complete medical necessity documentation, and a valid prior authorization, and still lose the claim if you cannot prove the item was delivered. CMS requires proof of delivery for every DME item, and the requirements differ based on how the item was delivered. For items delivered directly to the patient, you need a delivery slip signed and dated by the patient or their authorized representative. The slip must include the patient's name, a description of the item, the brand name or serial number if applicable, the quantity delivered, and the date of delivery. For items shipped to the patient, you need a shipping tracking number from the carrier showing delivery to the patient's address, along with your internal records showing the item shipped, the date it was shipped, and the patient's address. For items delivered to a nursing facility or hospital, you need a signed delivery slip from a facility employee, not just a loading dock receipt. The most common proof of delivery error: the delivery date on the proof of delivery does not match the date of service on the claim. If the claim says the item was delivered January 15th, but the signed delivery ticket says January 20th, the claim will be denied. The fix: capture signed proof of delivery at the time of every delivery. Use electronic signature pads when possible. Verify that the delivery date matches the date of service before submitting the claim. Retain all proof of delivery records for at least 7 years, the Medicare audit look-back period. Section 6. Certificate of Medical Necessity Form Errors. CMN forms are required for oxygen, hospital beds, pneumatic compression devices, osteogenesis stimulators, transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulators, and several other product categories. Each CMN form has specific fields that must be completed and specific fields that cause disproportionate denials. For the oxygen CMN, Form CMS 484, the most denied fields are the arterial blood gas or pulse oximetry values, the test date, the testing conditions, at rest, during exercise, or during sleep, and whether the patient was on supplemental oxygen during testing. If the test was performed while the patient was already on oxygen, that must be noted and the flow rate documented. For hospital bed CMNs, the most common error is failing to document why a standard bed will not meet the patient's needs. Saying the patient needs a hospital bed is not enough. The CMN must explain the specific medical condition that requires the bed's features: head elevation for congestive heart failure, side rails for a patient at fall risk, or variable positioning for pressure ulcer prevention. The fix: before submitting any CMN, review every field against the form instructions published by the DME MAC. Pay special attention to Section B, the Diagnosis and Clinical Information section, which is where most errors occur. Many DME MACs publish common CMN errors on their websites. Review these lists quarterly and update your internal checklists. Section 7. Prior authorization documentation timing. For items that require prior authorization, the timing of your documentation matters as much as the documentation itself. CMS and most commercial payers require that the prior authorization be approved before the item is dispensed. Delivering the item before the PA is approved, even if the PA is later approved, can result in a denial. The documentation submitted with the prior authorization request must be current. Clinical notes more than 6 months old are generally not accepted. Sleep studies for CPAP must be within the timeframe specified by the payer. For Medicare, the sleep study must have been conducted within a specific window before the CPAP order. The most common timing error: submitting the PA request with outdated documentation, receiving a denial for insufficient documentation, then resubmitting with updated documentation after the item has already been delivered. At that point, you've dispensed the item without a valid PA, and the claim may be denied regardless of the clinical documentation. The fix: never deliver a PA-required item until you have the approval number in hand. When preparing the PA submission, verify that every clinical document is dated within the payer's acceptable timeframe. If any document is too old, request updated documentation from the physician before submitting the PA, not after. Section 8. Audit-proofing your documentation process. Every error covered in this video has the same root cause. Documentation was reviewed after the claim was denied instead of before the claim was submitted. The suppliers with the lowest denial rates all share one practice: pre-submission documentation review. Build a documentation checklist for every product category you bill. The checklist should include every required document: the order, the face-to-face note if applicable, the CMN if applicable, the medical necessity documentation, the proof of delivery, and the prior authorization approval if required. Before any claim is submitted, a trained reviewer checks every item on the checklist. If any document is missing, incomplete, or inconsistent, the claim is held until the issue is resolved. The CERT program data shows that suppliers who implement pre-submission review reduce their documentation denial rate by 40 to 60% within 6 months. That is not a projection. It is the measured result across multiple CERT audit cycles. Track your denial reasons monthly. If the same documentation error appears more than twice in a month, update your checklist and retrain your team on that specific issue. Documentation compliance is not a one-time project. It is a continuous process. The bottom line: every documentation denial is preventable. The CERT program has published the same categories of errors for over a decade. The required documentation for every DME item is publicly available in the local coverage determinations and supplier manuals. The suppliers who read those requirements and build their workflows around them have denial rates in the single digits. The suppliers who don't have denial rates above 30%. If you found this helpful, subscribe to DME Insider for weekly deep dives on billing, compliance, and denial prevention. And if you want to automate documentation checklists, pre-submission validation, and denial tracking, visit MyMedi-AI.com to start your free 7-day trial. No credit card required. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.